Consequences, Rove's memoir, Get It signed on Thursday night. I'm turning my attention to Israel next with my friend Nir Nitzan, who is in studio with me talking about why you need to go right now. Stay tuned. It's the Hugh Hewitt Show. Welcome back, America. It's Hugh Hewitt. Time to switch from politics to international affairs and to what you can do for our closest ally, Israel. As you know, I went to Israel for the first time this summer. And the man who took care of me and the fetching Mrs. Hewitt and Dr. and Mrs. Roberts and their family and a bunch of us is Nir Nitzan. And Nir is in the United States for a few days. And I asked him to come by the studio when he came through California because I thought we would talk some of you into finally doing what you should have done a long time ago, which is go to Israel. Nir, welcome. It's great to have you in the studio.
Thank you so much.
Now, you can't be soft-spoken, Nir. I mean, you were bold out on the tourism thing, so you got to project a little bit. First of all, tell people about you, and Hannah, your wife, is with us. It's so great to have. What's your background? How'd you get into this?
I studied history of the Middle East, Jewish history of Israel, and I found myself not exactly wanting to go be a teacher. And since I'm a very much outdoor person, the next step was almost natural. I turned into tour guiding and a tour agency, and that's where I am.
And the tour agency, by the way, is linked over at HughHewitt.com. Nir Tours for You, NIRTOURS, the number 4U.co.il, actually. It's linked at HughHewitt.com. So, Nir, what did you do before you got in the tour business?
I was a soldier.
For how long?
For long enough. The Israeli army, it's a compulsory in our culture, which I had to do. I liked it. I was in a recon, and I stayed there longer than I should. I stayed there eventually with the reserves over 30 years. Our reserve is quite different than yours, so obviously it was available to do it more. In fact, I'm still active, no longer as an active officer, but now more as a consultant in my old unit. I had the great privilege of my own son serving in the same unit I served 30 years later.
This was the most fascinating conversation we had in the days that we were together, is when you told me about your father and your son and their military service. Just string that together for people so they get the idea of your family's history with the IDF.
Well, Israel, although it's celebrating 60 years of age, or in our 60s now, in my opinion, Israel is still fighting its war of independence. To begin with, its recognition. And that's an introduction to your question because we are still fighting for our existence. We're still fighting for our legitimacy of existence in Israel. And that's not obvious, unfortunately. So my father was 16 years old when he forged his idea to be 17. This was the draft age for the War of Independence. And he served in the recon of his time, which was on horseback.
1948.
1948.
Yeah.
I joined the Army in 1977. And after I failed the Israeli Air Force, I was trying to be a pilot like most Israeli soldiers, but we only have a rate of success of 1 to 10. I was probably number 9.
Yeah.
I turned into recon, and that's what I did for the rest of my military career. I ended up a commander of a small recon unit.
That means the people that you host in Israel don't get lost.
Huh. I mean, that's connected to the question you asked me on my way here. Can I make it here?
That's right. I said earlier when I gave him the directions to the studio, can you make it here? He said, I better be able to make it to a studio in California. So you had to fight in, which year did you go into? You're younger than I am, so you would have
missed... 77 I went in.
Yeah, you would have made Lebanon the first Lebanon War.
First Lebanon War was my first real battlefield experience, 1992.
And then your son went in how long ago?
My son went in, what was the year? 1998, I think. He joined the Army. No, 2008 he went in. 2007 he went in. 2009 he was already fighting in Gaza.
You had to go find him one night.
Yes. Unlike cultural difference, I kept using the term cultural difference on the tour.
Did. Yeah.
It's a different culture, although we all speak English, at least good enough. I went to look for my son during the war, which you can't do for your kids in Afghanistan. It's too far to begin with. And for me, Gaza is only an hour and 15 minutes away from home. That's one of the things that people in North America don't really realize, that Israel is smaller than Lake Michigan.
Yeah.
And I went down to the Gaza Strip based on the little information I had for my son before he went in. And the little information I gathered from the television. It was quite frustrating for me because this was the first time they didn't call me. They called my kid.
Ouch.
Ouch, yeah.
But, I mean, that was so fascinating because you obviously have a very clear-eyed view of everything that goes into defending the country. And what I want to emphasize to people, our first segment's almost done, it's a very safe place to visit, and everyone should go. And confirm that for people.
The day you landed in Israel, the day your boat came in, these were busy days, and they were shooting on the same town where your boat docked. You didn't even know.
Ashdod, and had no idea. I'm coming right back with Nir Nitzan. Do not go anywhere except maybe over to HughHewitt.com. Click on his website. We're going to get you to go because everyone should. And if you want to go in competent, careful hands, Nir's the guy to arrange it for you. We'll talk about that when we return to the Hugh Hewitt Show. 44 minutes after the hour, American Hugh Hewitt, following through on a promise I made you when I got back from Israel that when my tour guide got to the States, as he does once a year, I would ask Nir Nitzan to drop by the studio and talk a little bit about getting you there and how the kind of questions I can't answer. I just emailed him on the recommendation of two independent friends. They said, you got to get in touch with Nir. And he took great care of us for our time in Israel, as he would for you. Nir, who do you normally host? I mean, you do church groups. I know you do bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs and all that stuff, but you do large groups as well as small independent tours.
That is true, and we do everything. We our slogan is we customize our tour to the needs of the client, and that's the main reason we are here. We're actually here in the U.S. twice a year, and I came here to the West Coast because you said you'll host me here. And,
absolutely.
And I figure maybe I'll get you to come to Israel on a real tour.
On a real tour for like 2 weeks, right? As opposed to like the 3-day deal.
10 day is usually the right time
That's
to come.
what my next question was. What if people really want to do it the right way, how much time should they allocate?
I would plan for 10 days on the ground, maybe a day and a half extra to fly in and out because it's a long flight, especially if you come from the West Coast. It's if you come on direct flight, it's 15 hours. If you stop on the way, it's still about 20 hours. So you're spending a whole day each direction.
Now let's talk a little bit about for the person who's on the edge now thinking, okay, here's someone I could actually write. They can email you, and you're not going to try and book them that day. You're going to talk to them about how. In fact, you go and meet with your clients in their living rooms.
Yeah.
Where are you going on this trip?
Yesterday we spent some time with somebody in Palos Verdes talking about their tour. We're going from here to Winston-Salem. We're meeting with people who already been to Israel, but they are planning a new tour to Israel. We're going from there to Cleveland, Ohio, to meet people we've never seen before, and they're planning a trip. In fact, in Cleveland, it's a group of two rabbis and two ministers who are coming together on what they call an interfaith tour. They want us to plan for them some exposure to both religion in Israel. After all, there's only one Holy Land, although it's smaller than Lake Michigan.
That is actually fascinating. So you do what I want to convey is that you will organize for the large church that wants to come, or for the large synagogue that wants to come, or for the large community group that wants to come.
That's true, but we do tours from one.
I know we were very small, and we were very happy to have you. I want to give a phone number, by the way, America, because I really do want you to go. I've been talking about this for 2 years, long before I met Nir. And I want to give his phone number. If you want to call him when he's in the States and just talk to him, it's easier. 310-989-9715. 310-989-9715. 310-989-9715.